Hello, this is Kirk Maximus. Do you miss the old days of being able to play board games and card games with your friends? The nostalgia to ever get together and do some cooperative in order to beat up the enemy and have a really fun night in the process? Well, this is your opportunity with Tabletop Simulator. You can go to the workshop and download games for free. Tabletop Simulator itself is relatively cheap. You can catch it on Steam sales from time to time. And in this list, I'm going to try to give out at least 10 games that go from simplistic to most complicated that you can play together with your friends or maniacs or whoever you come across and have a great night. First up, I would recommend Cards Against Humanity. Now, this simple game, all it requires is your imagination and the ability to express yourself to your friends. It's that simple. You're just handed out different cards and put together a crazy scenario in the process. Another example of this game that goes well with it is Super Fight. Add a little drink into it, and boy, you can have a real fun time with your friends. I highly recommend trying this game out with your friends, especially on nights when you are waiting for something else. I definitely love how some of these cards mentions crazy BS that we have to deal with while playing the games. Next game I would recommend for everybody to try out is Munchkin. It can be cooperative and it can also be a fairly competitive game depending on everybody's play style and house rules. The theme of this game is you get cards, you pretend you're going through a dungeon, and try to get loot. It's that simple. Along the way, you can also mess with your friends or help your friends in battles against random monsters that they draw. And you never know what kind of booty or loot you'll find along the way. Add a little drink into this as previous games, and a lot of shenanigans are promised to happen. Now, another game I would recommend trying out with your friends is fairly simplistic, is Sheriff of Nottingham. You each take turns as merchants trying to bring goods into the town of Nottingham. Well, one of you gets stuck with the job of being the sheriff. You can take turns trying to bribe or convince the sheriff that your goods are, in fact, legal tender and need to get to town. There is no wrong or right way to play this game, just lots of fun involved. And the person with the most money at the end is victor. There are all kinds of strategies associated with this game. You could be a very legal merchant, or you could also be one to try to sneak in contraband in order to make the most money. Also, if you're lucky enough to acquire the most of one good, you could be considered the quote king or queen of that good, giving you bonus money at the end. I highly recommend giving this game a go when you have a bunch of friends around and don't want to deal with too many cards. Another game I recommend is Flashpoint. This is definitely a cooperative game where you and a bunch of other people pretend to be firefighters to take out fire. The level of difficulty of this game can vary from very easy to extremely difficult depending on how you set it up. This game could definitely bring out the cooperative and leadership skills that you have hidden within. So if you ever had that fantasy of being a firefighter, now's your chance with the game Flashpoint. Check it out on the Steam Workshop. Slightly more complicated game, but also a possible cooperative one, is the game Clue, where you and your friends go around a mysterious mansion and try to look for clues on who committed a murder. It's an old-fashioned but reliable game, and you never know what dastardly plans somebody had for the unfortunate host of this mansion. It includes all the old icons and pieces from the original game. It even has the very simplistic but original mansion layout. Now, have you ever had that inner desire to be a giant monster and take over Tokyo? Or seen one too many Godzilla movies? Well, now here's your chance to be that giant monster and rampage throughout Tokyo. This game can be competitive or cooperative, depending on how you play. You can set players up to compete against each other to take over Tokyo, or you can work together to defend it against NPCs. Regardless, this could be a lot of fun, especially with drinks around. Not to mention, pretty silly in the process. So if you too want to play a Cyber Bunny and take over Tokyo, now's your chance on King of Tokyo on the Tabletop Workshop. Now, a slightly more complicated game you can play with your friends is Boss Monster. In this unusual game, you actually pretend that you are the leader or controller of a dungeon of your own. And you lure poor adventurers into your dungeon and murder them to prevent them from taking your valuable loot. This game can be played up to 4 players and can be quite interesting once you learn how the gameplay works. Those poor adventurers will never know what hit them. For this more spooky and complicated game, your friends and yourself could try Betrayal at House on the Hill. What makes this game unique is the fact that the levels change as you proceed to different rooms. Meaning you'll never know what you'll encounter along the way. There are objects, omens, and horrible secrets hidden within this mansion. The replay value of this game is humongous, but it is, I warn you, a bit on the tricky side. So if you want a creepy encounter with the dead, and have time to try out a new game, then this one is for you. Now ask yourself, have you ever wanted to rob a bank? Or the mafia? Or some damn elitist who has all your money? Well, now is your chance on the board game of Payday 2. That's right, you and your friend can try your best at sneaking in or shooting your way through a scenario that contains loot at the end. However, I must warn you, this game can be a bit tricky. But if you are interested, it is on the workshop for Tabletop Simulator. An honorable mention along the way is the game Phase 10. This card game can also be downloaded by the workshop on Tabletop Simulator, where you and your friends can play cards together and try your best at what hand you're given. Now for even more excruciatingly complicated but cooperative as all hell, Battlestar Galactica, the board game, where you and your friend assume the roles of famous spacefarers, humanity's last hope to escape from the crazy Cylons who are out to destroy all of humanity. Cooperation is definitely needed in this game, for the game is determined to kill you along the way. But there's no greater reward than beating a more complicated game than this. And telling those damn toasters to suck it. So if you think you have the smarts, the cleverness, and the luck to survive this game, I would highly recommend trying it out. And finally, for the most complicated game of the bunch, is D&D. So complicated is this game that you have to use your imagination and lots of dice rolling in order to make it through to whatever adventure the DM sets up. Luckily, this simulator comes with models that you can add to the game to make them more interesting, as well as all the tools you'll need in order to create the adventure or play through the adventure of your wildest dreams. And that is my list of cooperative games on Tabletop Simulator. Give it a go. You never know what kind of fun you'll find.